Intrepid viewers, how are you? This is your correspondent reporting in from Buenos Aires, where it's quite cold, as you can see. Now, I had a great time in New York. I didn't get into the trial itself, but I'll put a link up. I did a 15-second video outside the courthouse in Manhattan. So I was well looked after in New York. Thank you, people. Now, today, everything's kicking off as usual. So, many of you saw the interview with Fani Willis on the Rachel Maddow show. And poor Fani, she's had to move out of her own home, have 24-hour protection, and it's so stressful for her. And because these cases never seem to actually happen, all this tension goes on for months and years. So while we're also in Georgia, there are fake electors from 3 different states. 6 of them have been indicted who are prepared to do it again. Can you believe this? Can you actually believe it? They could be going to jail for what they did last time, but they think these trials are bogus and they do it again. So let's kick off with these fake electors. I think they're from Michigan and somewhere else, but I'll look at them collectively. I couldn't actually believe it. I don't know why, but I can still be surprised. No cure for stupid, so here we go. You'll have to trust me because I haven't got the space to lay out the cards where you can see them, so I'll just hold them up. So the fake electors, they've offered their services again. So let's have a look at the indicted fake electors. I don't know. These people haven't got a working brain between the lot of them, have they? It's just amazing to me. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, they've learnt nothing, absolutely nothing. It's going to be a bit of a shock for them, though, down the road. So look, this is the lover's card. I'll just cover the nudie bits, as Hogarth calls them, the lover's card. Now, when it's not about romance, it's about pacts and deals and treaties and all these things about merging. So this is about talking to each other because they live in GOP, MAGA, La La Land. They think they're going to be all right. Up comes the Queen of Cups here. This could be female fake electors, or it just could be the energy around it. But here's the thing. In the tarot, the Queen of Cups is the only card with a lid on the cup. So it's like they've taken the lid off and they're just running on sheer emotion. No cerebral engagement, not yet. Things are going to move quite quickly for them. Look at these 2 cards. Both these cards have a lot of energy about forward movement, right? The Chariot going forward regardless, and the very impulsive Knight of Swords. So their court cases are going to go ahead, and the sun will be shining very brightly on their nefarious dealings. But they don't care. They think it's all right. You can't actually save them from themselves. Huh? And the Yeti won't care, and they'll have to pay their own legal bills. But look, they're queuing up to kiss his lily white buttocks. It's obscene. They've learnt nothing. What can you say? In other good news, the what do they call it? The Trump stock, is falling through the floor. Just last quarter, it's been described as staggering losses. So they made $700,000 and lost 327 million. Now, you don't have to be a mathematician to know those aren't good odds. No, pet. Sorry, not good odds. Oh my God. Anyway, they can watch their own losses in real time. So what I want to look at now is this new crypto vote that went through in Congress, one of the very few things that's even got to the big desk in Congress, also known as the Valley of the Hyenas. And quite a few Dems supported this legislation. I think the idea is regulation for crypto world, but I don't think it's very strong legislation. And I think, I don't know how it'll go in the Senate. So let's have a look at how it'll go in the Senate. It's sailed through the Valley of the Hyenas, but what will happen to the crypto legislation in the Senate? Will it get through? Will it get through? Yeah. These aren't good cards for a piece of legislation going through until the last minute. So the Senate doesn't even really, with this Four of Cups, doesn't even want to look at this legislation, frankly. They don't want to know. They're in retreat in relation to this. They're feeling a bit of pressure. They're feeling a bit beaten up about even having to do it. I didn't expect this strong a reaction. The Senate is not keen on this legislation, but it does get a Nine of Pentacles in the end. So I might draw a clarifier on this because this could be interpreted either way. This is Pentacles, i.e. conventional money. It could be that they stay in the real world and not crypto, or it could be crypto coming into its own. So let's pull a couple of clarifiers. What's happening here? There's Nine of Pentacles. What's it about? All right. The Apprentice card. I think the Senate is going to say we don't know enough about the volatility of the crypto market. We need more information. And this is the courthouse and the White House and the church and all of that. So I think they're going to not so much stall it, but ask for more information. Now, I'm not an economist, but I have to say, it seems to me that crypto is essentially monopoly money. It's not sort of hinged to the gold standard or anything. So it's sort of play money. And it's like any pyramid scheme. If you get in on the bottom, you'll do well. But it gets to a certain point, and then everyone will be running for the doors and whimpering and crying, I've lost my crypto. Because it doesn't actually exist. Call me old school. What am I not getting? about crypto. Okay, let me know what you think about crypto in the comments. Yeah, that'll be cool. Now, we should not be surprised that the Supreme, i.e., Extreme Court, has basically not made a decision on a gerrymandered map in South Carolina. Now, none of us would be surprised at South Carolina drawing a map that basically, as one person said, exiles black voters by putting them in different districts. And the Supreme Court pushed it back. And from what I understand, the Constitution actually bans racial gerrymandering. Not that it stops it, but technically, apparently, it's banned by the Constitution. But partisan gerrymandering isn't banned. So the Supreme Court have said, oh, well, it's not really racial, it's more partisan. So they've thrown it back to a lower court. They're so gutless. They're so treacherous. They are so vile. So let's have another quick look at Alito, the upside down flag. I mean, these people are so out there. You know, he's telling the world, but will it translate into anything? Will the Alito flag saga go anywhere? Of course, the Dems are saying he should recuse himself from anything related to January 6th, but that would be ethical, and they wouldn't understand an ethical principle if it came up and slapped them around the chops. Oh, there's an ethic in my face. Oh no, take it away. Get rid of that nasty ethical moment. Let's have a look. Alito and the flag saga. I don't see him on the ladder shinnying up the flagpole. It would have been an underling, but anything coming of it. Let's have a look. I love how these cards work. Look, his defense is going to be, oh, I didn't notice in my own driveway that the flag was there. He's trying to manipulate the narrative. It's not going down marvelously well, right? It has actually genuinely upset some people. And that makes me happy. I'm glad some people are still upset by something. But I think he's underestimating how upset people are. But people have very strong feelings about the American flag. Don't start me on flags and nationalism, because we haven't got 6 hours to talk about it. But there's strong feeling here, right? But this is evidence that he is part of the bigger picture of stealing. I don't think this is too much to say, stealing American democracy with this 5 of Swords. 5s are never pretty and never easy. Look at this. So he's out in the cold, but will it translate into anything in the flesh? Meh. You know. So, but I think he will lose what popularity he does have. I mean, he'd probably fly a Confederate flag if he could get away with it. You know. I don't know. Maybe he's in a swingers club with Clarence Thomas and it was Jenny's idea. I mean, oh, who said that? Who said that? Entertainment purposes only, YouTube. Now, the Yeti yesterday or some time recently put on his Truth Social, there is an American journalist from the Wall Street Journal who's been charged in Russia with spying, just the go-to. And the Yeti has said he'd get him back like that. I'm so close to Putin, just a word in Putin's ear, I'd have him back with his family. The Kremlin picked up on this, and a Kremlin spokesman said, what was the actual phrase? I quote, okay, naturally, Putin has no contact with Trump. In other words, they're saying, go away, don't drag us into your petty crap. Okay. Putin has bigger things to worry about, I would suggest, like the stalemate in the war with Ukraine. So he has recently sacked 4 big defense ministers. 4. That's a lot. That's the go-to for an authoritarian who's paranoid and in trouble. You start getting rid of the top henchmen because you can't trust anyone. So let's have a look at Putin. One of the ones is Sergei Shoigu. Now, I remember doing a video, or actually I didn't remember at all. That's not true. A viewer pointed out to me I did a video on Shoigu 4 years ago. And in that, I suggested he was massively powerful and could actually upend the regime. He's on the outer. So will he become like Prigozhin and start another group to actually take on Putin? Let's have a look at that. So we'll look at the energy around Putin and Russia at the moment. Let's have a look. Now, while I'm shuffling, I'll be back on Hogarth's channel, Hogarly, this week because I'm almost in the time zone. So I will see you all live. That's 7 p.m. EST on Saturday night on Hogarth's Astrology. Okay, and thanks everyone for filling in. Okay, let's have a look. What's happening in the Kremlin? Oof. This is interesting. So I think there are plans afoot. Now, the oligarchs wouldn't be happy because you can't make truckloads of money when the country's being bled dry in 2 ways. The sanctions on Russia, and regular viewers will know my position. I don't believe in international sanctions by and large because they tend to impact ordinary people with empty supermarket shelves and don't actually get to the bad guys. But I think plots are afoot. I think this is suggesting there's more than one faction. In other words, Shoigu would probably have his people, other ones would have their people. I think there's multiple factions going on here. There's a lot of confusion how to go forward here, a lot of confusion. The Queen of Wands has turned up. There's a couple of strong women in this scenario, I think. One is Navalny's widow, and the other, I can't remember her name, but she was prepared to go up against Putin, so she's very brave. I think this is women collectively are beginning to feel their power. This also represents the mothers of dead and mutilated soldiers. Okay, and Russia's always had, despite being called Mother Russia, has always had this very macho sort of energy around it. This is the women coming to the fore here. What is the real core of the issue? Oh, the devil. Being chained to the old way of doing things. I think this is what it's about. With the devil card, it's about being chained to toxic behaviors. And I think this is being challenged. Now, the Hierophant is systems of government. And if you put these together, it's like the actual government is chained to old ways of doing things. And I think the question for me has never been, will Putin go and when? It's who will replace him. If Russia's going to go forward, it needs an independent court system and an independent media, and all the things that we in the West are losing with corporate media, right? It's not as though we can sit here all virtuous and go, oh, Russia's backward from having controlled media, right? We're all sitting in countries with corporate media, you know? Like CNN would never let Bernie on and all of that stuff. It's gone to the dogs. So I think it's time for Russia. I think it's time. I think it can have a much more positive future down the track. But it's got a ways to go yet, haven't we all? Now, before I go, I'll fill you in on what's happening, which is I'm here in Buenos Aires for another 5 days or something, and then off to the north of Brazil. The floods have been in the south, but I'm going to the north. So I'll be taking you guys with me, and we're all going off to Brazil. How fun will that be? It'll be fantastic. So lots of love. Stay strong, deep breaths, stay engaged. Stay engaged. And think how you can maximize your vote. And the easiest way to do that is take one person with you. You might have to work on them for a few months, but get someone else to vote as well. So I wish you all the best, and I'll put up a link to that video of moi in Manhattan. Take care, guys. Love you. Besos. Ciao, ciao.